Hey, everybody, welcome. I'm so excited that I get to be talking with you today. And here in the particular Facebook page called Pastors Doing a New Thing, we sometimes get a chance to see new people. And so I'm excited today to introduce you all to a new person in the Speaking Life family. So today I'm introducing sort of our first official partner, which is the Integer Network. And Noah K is what's your formal title?
Executive director, if you want to be fancy.
I was going with that one. I was wanting to make sure. Executive Director Noah K. And so, as you all know, I'm a coach. You're going to learn a little bit about Integer today, and it's a coaching network. And so, it's really important to me. I've said this before that I don't care where you get coaching from. Well, I do kind of care. I want you to get quality coaching, and it doesn't have to be for me. And so I just want you to know that that matters to me. And so I want to provide you with opportunities and with people that I trust to get you the support you need as you do ministry. And so you're going to love learning about Noah today as well as the Integer Network. So, well, Noah, before we jump into Integer, describe for us, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and your most authentic self.
My most authentic self, Charity. I love that word. I'm a husband of one wife and a father to three humans. We have a lovely, lively home. Um, and this question of describe my most authentic self, this is going to sound formal, but it isn't, I promise.
It's okay.
I've gone through a process over the last number of years of trying to answer that question. Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And I've done, discernment and work, and it's a work in progress. We're going to be answering
Right.
this for the rest of our lives. But what has served me so well is landing on four simple descriptors of who I am. And I
Okay.
use them a lot.
Great.
I often say it's more vulnerable to talk about our strengths than our weaknesses. Actually, easy to
Mm.
tell where I suck. It's hard to be
Mm.
honest about where I think I'm strong because then
Oh.
you feel, oh, they're going to think I'm arrogant or they're going to think I'm
Mhm. Mhm.
so
Hmm.
Noah. At the core, and you've known me a little while, and you can tell me if you think this is close. Is
Okay.
number one a relational Jedi?
Totally.
I just have people skills and
Mhm.
the ability to connect in a high trust way very fast with people. I don't know what it is, what
Mhm.
spell it is I'm putting on them, but they trust me.
That
So
woo.
consider myself a relational Jedi, and the Strengths Finder have
Mhm.
woo up there near the top.
Mhm.
The second is I do consider myself a skilled leader, not just a
Mhm.
leader, a skilled leader that
Mhm.
has the ability to lead in a way that cultivates community and trust and a way that people want to be with me on the journey.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's something that I've noticed and
Mhm.
others have noticed, and I want to cultivate and strengthen. Third, um, I like to consider myself an effective communicator. I
Mhm.
love to communicate. I
Mhm.
love language. I speak English and Swahili just to show me even more how much I love language. And I think communication is one of my great strengths, and in being able to take difficult uh, principles and ideas and state them in a way that has punch and clarity. I just love
Mm.
this, Charity. So
Yeah.
whether it's written communication or spoken communication, I do feel it is a uniquely God-given design that I really, really lean into. And then fourth and finally, I would consider myself the most authentic Noah is just a natural influencer. I
Mhm.
really, this is the one I'm most uncomfortable with.
Okay.
I want to shake that skin the most, where just let me be the normal, broken, weak, frail human that I am. But there always seems to be this mantle of influence where if
Mhm.
I say it, it matters. And if I do
Mhm.
it, people are watching, and I just have to live with this curse. But it is
Mhm.
also a blessing to use influence in a way that brings life and healing and
Mhm.
transformation. So that's who I would describe myself to be. A little too driven at times, which is really motivated out of my need to be successful and affirmed
Mhm.
and noticed, which really stems back to my entire story. So I'm learning to try to
Mhm.
be rooted. So I guess the last thing I would say, my authentic self. There are a lot of leaders who are really driven,
Mhm.
really motivated and get her done and productivity, and that's not bad. The world
Yeah.
needs that. but I try to balance that with a sense of stillness and a rooted heart and a soul that is being paid attention to, so that this
Mm,
stuff I'm doing in the world is not just
mm,
blah blah busyness, but it actually has depth. So that's
mhm. Well, Noah, I thank you for sharing those four, and I definitely feel like they are spot on. And particularly as you just kind of talked about where you are and the balance between the productivity and the presence and the stillness. I think people in this community can totally relate to that, and have heard me share about that. And so you all can maybe even begin to see some of the spaces where it makes sense for this partnership to form. There's um, some symbiosis, I guess they say, right? There's some similarity that's really quite beautiful. We talk the same language, even though we do things in perhaps a different way, and so it's very clear early on that um, we were in the same game, if you will.
I love it, and I felt it too. That's why I'm here right now. And I would say, Charity, another thing is for the leaders in your network and what I've
Hmm.
heard about them and what I imagine I'll learn to know about them. I think for all of us, one of the great balances and blends to find in leadership is this blend of this is a book I'll write one day when I'm older, the blend of confidence and humility.
Mm,
This blend of knowing who we are, bringing who we are, but you
mm,
either get leaders that are super confident, uh, or really humble, but you rarely get leaders that seem to marry
mm,
them both and live fully out of who they are with a deep sense of humility of what
mm,
they don't know and who they yet are. And
mm.
so that's a yearning of my heart. I
I
can
love
preach.
that. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna go to the next question, but we could totally lean into that one if we
We
wanted
parked
to.
there, couldn't we? Going to lunch.
I'm already processing that one. So tell us what you do, Noah. And we got a chance to know a little bit about who you are,
Yeah,
with your four core traits, and I love the way you describe those as your authentic self. Tell us about the Integer Network, what you all do, how you came to do it. Tell us a little bit about
sure.
the company.
Yeah, well, we are Integer is a global kind of international coaching network.
Mhm,
We have strong focus on three primary values, and that they are authenticity, connection, and wholeness. So all of our coaching and group experiences are always going to be geared around those values.
mhm,
I started Integer 4.5 years ago after almost 2 decades in church leadership and missions leadership. Lived here in the US and overseas. And throughout my time in church ministry and in the missions world, I had this strong sense, Charity, that um, man, there is such a need for leaders to have a place where they can be authentic. So for me, it's my maybe a bit of imposing on the creation story, but really what motivates me is I think of a very, very foundational story of our scriptures as Christians, and this garden narrative where Adam and Eve were placed there to enjoy fullness of life, abundant life,
mm,
and invited to just to dwell in paradise, and given this one prohibition not to eat
mm,
from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of
mm,
right, wrong, left, right, fat, skinny, black, white, the tree
mm,
that divides,
mm,
uh, because we aren't made for that. We're made
mm,
for wholeness. We're made for love.
mm,
We're not made for division and disunity and
mm,
disintegration. And
mm,
so the very beginning of the human story is an
mm,
invitation to life and love uninterrupted.
mm,
And what do? We choose the other, and we're still doing it. But the
mm,
immediate reaction
mm,
to missing the mark, to failing,
mhm,
to struggling, to sinning, to whatever word you want to use, is shame.
mhm, mhm,
And so shame has hijacked all of our lives to one degree or another, but particularly in the lives of leaders, they're
mm.
uniquely positioned to have to hide the most because they're seen the
Woo,
most.
woo,
And so I have long had a passion for myself to be able to show up authentically. I want
mhm,
who I truly am, and so I started Integer Network with a desire to coach leaders into greater authenticity. And part of that authenticity without connection,
Mm,
is not attractive to me. I just
mm,
do me. I'm just real, and if you don't like it, I just do me. I mean,
mhm,
that's not cute.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
what we really want is
mm,
to be authentically who we are, so that showing
mhm,
up with kind of courage to be seen and known, so that we can foster true, deep, meaningful, high trust connection with each other. We all just want to be loved. That's all we want. But we want to be loved for who we actually are, not
right.
for the masquerade or theater we put on, but for who we actually are.
Mhm.
So hard to get there. So we coach leaders to be authentic,
Yeah.
essentially. We put materials around it, and that's really a lot of what we do. And we do Integer, is in multiple countries, and we do have written stuff around kind of team health, team dynamics. So we
Mhm,
do lean into how to help teams be healthy,
mhm,
not just leaders. So we do group
mhm,
experiences as well, and companies, corporations, enterprises, because I believe that if your team is healthy, if your
mhm,
workplace personality and your workplace DNA and culture
mhm,
is safe and vulnerable, then people will flourish, and you will
mhm,
make the impact you want to make and the income you want to make.
mhm, mhm, mhm. It's just so good. I love what you said about leaders hiding the most because we are the most seen. Um yeah, I love that. I just was thinking about that in the role of shame and all of that. That's really powerful.
Well, you know a lot about that in your work with emotional intelligence. You could teach me.
Hmm. Well, that's why we're working together. We're gonna support each other, and
Come on.
we're gonna get it all together on the up and up between that and Brene Brown and all the things.
Uh,
There's definitely, I believe, a need in the spiritual space, right, to bring into some of this psychology, if you will, and this other types of wellness and wholeness that we have sometimes, given the talk to the hand, if you will.
yeah, and
So.
most of our work, Charity, as you know and have mentioned, is in the coaching space, and I just
Mhm,
love your passion for coaching, and that's really, I think, the
mhm,
coach approach to relationships and leadership are what
mhm,
cultivate the landscape that's needed for authenticity to grow. So
mhm.
when we live with a coach approach, which by the way, Jesus did.
Mhm. All
I mean,
kinds of.
I recently was read something. He asked over 300 questions, like answered 4 of them.
Right.
It's such a
Mhm.
powerful way to show up, where we
Mhm.
show up, asking questions, genuinely curious questions, and
Mhm.
listening with presence and empathy
Mhm.
and passion. When we do that, then we all want to be real. We feel safe to be real because
Yeah.
clearly you see something in me and on me that's worth
Mm.
observing, hearing.
Yes. Yeah, I just encourage, all pastors, I think this was my next level. Like I leveled up when one, I received coaching, then let alone, as you're talking about, became a coach and began to be able to support other people. It's a game changer. It's
It's
a game
transformative.
changer. Yeah.
It'll change anyone's career and
Mhm.
life, family if they let it. It's absolutely
Mm.
transformative, and it's so simple, but it's so hard.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I love it. Yeah. So, so you talked about these questions, right? Coaching is centered around asking powerful questions, um, not always answering them for another person, but definitely this sense of curiosity. You have been questioning and deconstructing your theology, your faith.
Oh Lord, here she goes. Here
You
she goes.
were, you were. I
Now she wants
mean,
to talk about this.
you were doing what I do every day, every week. Now you were doing this, and now you get to do what you do. One day I'm gonna sit where you sit, no, okay, where I'll be able to, say I used to be in the full time ministry in this way, and such. But now, tell us about. So here's what. Just give us just a piece. Here is I remember some of the first conversations we had,
Hmm,
and you mentioned that you had like you had a list
I
of
do.
things you were deconstructed. And I was like, dude, I should probably one, see the list.
Mm,
Two, I should probably do my own list.
you should do
Because
this.
I think, it's always evolving and changing, but it is nice to know like where am I? Like where would I put some stake on? Where put a stake in the ground for. And
Fascinating.
so I've already got a chance to hear a little bit of your um your take on the quote fall, which was fun to listen to, and seeing separation, this unity, disintegration. I love that. Give us something else that you've been unpacking, that you want to put a stake
Yeah,
in.
if I can try to keep this as succinct. So when I first, my list you're referring to
Mhm,
is, uh, I realized when I started deconstructing 10 years ago, I
mm,
started to deconstruct and I left the pastorate. And I don't really love the word deconstruct. I started to reform and reshape my faith and
mm.
re-experience God in new ways.
Okay.
And so when I started to do that, that obviously leads to losing friends, losing trust, losing
Mm,
support, losing funding, losing, trust. And that's part of the consequence of a process like this
mm, mm,
evangelical space. And so what it was actually in a conflict with a leader that was overseeing me that forced me to go, okay, what are my pillars? If I,
mm,
what am I holding on to? So I wrote what were
mm.
my 3 or 4 pillars at the time that I was still holding on to.
Okay.
And I wrote some of the ways that I've really reconstructed or deconstructed.
Mm,
I would summarize it like this.
okay.
Um, the shift has been from kind of knowing to unknowing, or from a posture or a heart of certainty to a heart of mystery.
Mm,
From I don't know why I pastored a church a mile down the road from NASA Goddard. And I think it's probably
mm,
that, knowing astronauts and people that worked at NASA, that led me to have a fascination with the stars and planets. I never went deep, but I went deep
mm.
enough to know one thing, and that is that NASA, after billions and billions and billions of dollars and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of research and exploring, has found out one major thing,
Okay.
and that is that they barely can scratch the surface of what is.
Mm.
And and that's physical, Charity Goodwin. That's physical things to be touched.
Hmm.
And to think that we
Mm.
as Christians, through one sacred text, have determined all there is to know about that which is spiritual is laughable. Absolutely.
Mm.
So I think it was that process of realizing, oh, there's so much more. It's so much deeper, so much
Mm.
broader, so much bigger, so much higher.
Mhm.
There's so much. I need a daily spoonful of spiritual
Mm.
humility to
Mm.
understand all that there is to know about God. So that was the shift. And from a narrow understanding to a broad understanding, he's he's pissed off here,
Uh-huh.
but he's really sweet here. He's mad at me if I do this, but he's happy with me if I do that.
Mhm.
He's striking people dead here, but he's laying his life down there. It
Mm.
used to leave me with so much confusion, and I had to work through my view of scripture over time and reform how I see scripture as a beautiful, inspired, guiding story, a progressive revelation of
Mm.
who God is, progressing. They had what they had when they had it, and they told their stories as faithfully as they know how to tell them.
Yeah, yeah.
Then enter Jesus, and he clarifies and then gives the Spirit for further movement on in our earth and in the church and in our world. And it ain't over. It ain't over. We ain't
Right?
figured it out. We ain't figured it out. I don't care who canonizes what. There's more. There's more. There's more. So
Woo.
I
It ain't
can't.
over.
I can't
That's the
live with.
sermon today. It ain't over.
I can't live with this certainty like I figured it all out. So
Mm.
that has really been what shaped it for me the most. And
Mm.
then I guess the last thing I'll say is, when I came to see love as the key defining
Mm.
characteristic of God's nature, I then could see love as the key central theme of the gospel.
Mm.
I follow Jesus. I love and follow Jesus. And Stanley Hauerwas, a very influential theologian in
Mhm.
his, he's in his 80s or something. He's speaking at a university. He lived this wonderful, clean, pure life, great theologian, godly man, never really spoke crassly like I would. And he's asked, what, asking all these critical questions by some college students. And he leaned forward in his chair and he goes, look, Jesus is Lord.
Mm.
Everything else is bullshit. And I don't know who your audience is. If I've offended them with that language, I'm sorry. So there's now shirts printed like this, and I wear it. Jesus is Lord. Everything else, but I won't wear it in public
Wow.
because I don't want to, cause people to stumble. But it's like
Wow.
that's the sense. So love. So that's
Mhm.
my job on this earth is to love, not to be
Mhm.
right, not to have all
Mhm.
the answers, not to have it figured
Mhm.
out. I don't live.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe you're right.
Yes.
Maybe
Right.
there's another. Maybe. But I know
Yeah.
one.
Right.
Love transforms my relationship with my wife, my kids, my friends, my colleagues, you
Mhm.
works
Mhm.
everywhere. Works
Yeah.
everywhere. And that's what it's
Yes.
all about. Not about rightness and
Mhm.
doctrine and certainty. It's about love.
Mhm. Woo! I think you need a pulpit, no, okay? I'm just saying.
I feel it. Some days I wonder why I stopped pastoring. Now I don't got nobody to talk to.
Look here, you gotta get on your IG, do your thing, get it out there, man. Oh man, well, we're a little bit at our time. Just any final sort of let me see how do I want to do this. Well, let's end it. We'll wrap it up full circle. So we're partnering on some things. We're saying, hey, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna keep having some conversations and keep discovering what will God have for us to do. And while we don't have it pinned down, we know that there's something. And one of the things, we talked about is just being able to let you know, like, hey, I got these folks. They're amazing people. They're pastors. They're trying to do new things in their context. They're committed to that, and they may want to have some coaching at some point. And so you have an amazing slate of coaches at the Integer Network, as well as a spiritual director whom I know, Miss J. And so they're just some amazing folks that I know personally, friends that I would highly recommend
Hmm.
for coaching. Jonathan, Jay, Renee, these are folks I know, and others that I'm getting to know and that I also trust because of the partnership we have. But what sort of drew you, to this partnership with Speaking Life, i.e., charity, and what are you hopeful for as we go forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think the honest answer, if we're really true to ourselves in these types of things, is God works through people, and so you are what drew me. You, who you are, Charity, what you carry in you. It didn't take me 10 minutes to see, 5 minutes to see that you're just loaded with goodness and grace, and you just got it. I like you, and I just really I mean it, and I feel like whatever you're doing, um, and your values are so similar to ours of all the way across the board.
Mhm.
Um, so similar to ours. So you are what drew me. I love what you're doing, but more importantly, love who you are. And so that really is the truth. Now, I think your work in emotional intelligence space is super, super fascinating and consistent with us. We are
Mhm.
hugely shaped by Brene Brown's work, which I know is a big part of your journey.
Mhm.
Your love for coaching as a modality is another huge drawing card. And for me, finally, would be your interest in pastors.
Mhm.
Um, as an ex-pastor and probably a lifelong pastor at heart, I think I'll
Mhm.
die a shepherd. Whether I end up pastoring again or not, I
Mhm.
don't know. I think I might. Who knows? Lord, whatever, just do it. But for your love for pastors, I just
Mhm.
think that um, is such a gift, and I want many of us at Inter share that passion with you.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, I have pastor clients that I work
Mhm.
with regularly, and I wish more and more that we could be engaged in the church. Ours at Integer is a bit of a weird work.
Mhm.
And church can be a bit suspicious of that which is weird. And
Mhm.
so, what is this thing? Is it church? Is it business? Is it, work with us
Yeah.
for about a month and then you decide whether we're kingdom. That's what I tell
Yeah.
people. If you
Mm.
see the Spirit of Jesus flowing through us at that point, going down the road. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
so I think there's so much shared values, natural affinity, shared
Mhm.
areas of focus, and even choice of modality like
Yeah.
coaching that together. And so for us at Integer, we have many partnerships, but we reserve an upper level of partnership called strategic partners, of which Speaking Life and you just became one in the last few months, which is I think one of the reasons we're here on this interview. So we're honored to consider you one of our strategic partners, meaning
Yes.
you're close enough to us, and we're in love enough with each other as or we we want to be caught together. We want
Yeah.
to be seen in public doing meaningful work, and the whole heart behind it in a strategic partnership is mutual benefit.
Amen.
We benefit you in the calling on your life, and may you benefit us, and together just flow, um,
Yeah.
collaboratively together. So
Absolutely.
that's my heart in our work with you.
Thank you, friend. Thank you, friend. Yeah, and central to all of that, like you said, are the people that we get to serve, and so that this partnership would be a benefit to our communities. And so I really hope anyone who's listening would consider working with Integer, exploring what
Oh,
it would mean to have a coach through them. I was looking to make sure I had everything right. Integernetwork.com. You'll
right.
get a chance to see every the services they offer, the personal coaching. If you want to reach out to Integer, you can do that straight directly. If you want to go through me and say, "Hey, Charity, I heard about this. Tell me more," I can have a whole conversation with you and put you in touch with the right people. So we
Yeah.
want to just make sure you get to do that. But IntegerNetwork.com, check it out. Um, IG, same Integer Network.
Your
That's the same.
network.
So check them out, friends. I believe in and trust the work that is happening at Integer, and I want what's best for you all. And so I hope you give this a go. Noah, it's been fun.
And
We on a
same for you, my friend. If any of our constituents or friends or partners are watching this, you wanna connect with her.
How's that go?
Reach out to Charity. We'll put it
Me
in
to
the note.
him, him to me.
Put a point on this screen.
Hey, here we go. It's about to be a fun, I told someone, I was like, I don't know what it is, but this is my season. It's not just about me, but about the people I get to be in community
Come
with.
on.
And yeah, we're about to do this thing. God is continuing to reveal and sort of bring the people together and then say, here is what it's gonna look like. Like, oh, hallelujah, now we know. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the ways that we'll get to be in ministry together, and just ever so grateful, first and foremost, to Renee for making this introduction and who she is
Who
as a
is
friend to both of us. And
she's
she saw
precious.
something that we didn't even know existed. So I'm so grateful for her every day.
Charity, thank you for honoring me with this time and this interview. This is
Absolutely.
a blessing.
You're more than worth it. Thank you, friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Bless you.